Dr. Alara Miles paced the cramped confines of the makeshift command center, her boots crunching over the gravelly, synthetic ground. The air was thick, humid, almost suffocating, but charged with a palpable tension that pulsed through the subterranean hideaway of the SOS. Walls lined with monitors cast an eerie glow, illuminating faces that were drawn and weary, yet underscored by a thread of desperate hope. Alara stopped by the central console, her eyes fixed on the ancient device before her, a relic of a long-lost alien civilization, now Earth's unlikely beacon. She brushed her hand over the smooth, metallic surface, feeling the cold and almost sentient hum of its energy. "Are we really sure about this, Alara?" asked Jonas, her deputy, a sturdy man whose skepticism had deepened with every step of their plan. Alara turned, her gaze steady. "No, we're not. But the Earth doesn't have much time left. This may be our only chance." Jonas frowned, folding his arms. "And if it brings something worse? We don't know what will answer that beacon." "Then we deal with it," Alara snapped, more sharply than she intended. "We can't afford inaction. Every measure we've tried has failed. This might be our last hope." Around them, the team watched, a mixture of fear, anticipation, and awe knitting their brows. Alara knew they trusted her, but it was more than trust, it was the burden of shared desperation. She turned back to the device, entering the final sequence. The air vibrated, and a deep, sonorous tone filled the room, resonating through the core of the facility. The beacon lit up, casting a brilliant, pulsating light that seemed to reach straight into the heavens. Outside, the skies responded. A spectacular aurora borealis erupted over the Amazon, unnatural, shimmering with colors that had no place in the earthly spectrum. "It's done," Alara whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum of the beacon. "Now, we wait." The wait wasn't long. 3 days later, the response came, not through the beacon, but as a series of massive distortions in Earth's upper atmosphere. The world's eyes turned skyward as shadows cast by colossal ships darken vast swathes of the land. In the command center, the team crowded around the monitors displaying the incoming fleet. The ships were unlike anything human engineers had ever conceived, vast, organic structures, pulsating with life, their hulls shimmering with a strange, iridescent sheen. "They're here," Jonas muttered, awe mixed with a tinge of fear. "The Deathworlder fleet." Alara didn't respond. She was already grabbing her gear, ready to meet the newcomers. As she headed towards the surface, her team followed, a silent procession moving toward an uncertain future. At the surface, they were met by a delegation from the Galactic Concordance, who had arrived in the wake of the mysterious fleet. The aliens were tall, their skin a translucent blue, eyes wide and unblinking. "I am Soren of the Galactic Concordance," one of them announced. "You have summoned the Deathworlder fleet." "Why?" Alara stepped forward, her voice firm. "Earth is dying. We've seen what the Deathworlder fleet can do, heard the legends of worlds reborn. We need your help." Soren looked around, his gaze taking in the scorched earth, the spreading deserts, the storms raging in the distance. "Your planet has been poorly managed, Dr. Miles. Why should the Concordance intervene?" "Because we're asking for a chance to make things right," Alara countered. "Because we believe in the potential of this planet and its people. Help us heal our world." There was a long pause, the air thick with tension. Then Soren nodded slowly. "Very well. The fleet will consider your request. But be warned, the fleet does not serve, it partners. You must be prepared to work, to change." "We are," Alara assured him. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity. The Deathworlder fleet, revealed to be autonomous bioships, began the demonstration of their capabilities on a nearby, lifeless moon. They terraformed barren rock into a blooming garden within days, a stark showcase of their power. Back on Earth, Alara addressed the United Nations, a broadcast watched by billions, laying out the plan for Earth's restoration, underpinned by the technology and knowledge of the Deathworlder fleet. Her speech was a plea, not just for survival, but for unity, for a collective leap towards a sustainable future. "We are not just saving an environment, We are saving ourselves, Elara concluded, her voice echoing in the silent assembly. With the help of the Deathworlder fleet, we can heal our world, but it requires every nation, every individual, to commit to change. We must rise together, as Earthlings, as stewards of our planet. The speech resonated worldwide. Skepticism mingled with hope, fear with fascination. As debates raged, policies were drafted, and the world slowly, tentatively, united under a common cause. In the command center, Elara watched the global response, a mix of pride and apprehension stirring in her chest. They had taken the first, irreversible step towards a vast, uncertain future, guided by the stars but grounded in the hard soil of Earth. 3 days after the arrival of the Deathworlder fleet, the situation on Earth teetered on the brink of chaos and wonder. The skies were now a canvas of lights, shimmering above like watchful guardians as the world held its breath. Dr. Elara Miles, along with her team and the representatives from the Galactic Concordance, stood on the observation deck of the SOS headquarters, their eyes skyward. Elara turned to address Soren, whose presence had become a beacon of alien mystique among her team. We've shown you our situation, and your ships hover above. What's next? How do we begin? Soren, tall and serene, replied, your planet's recovery begins not with action, but with understanding. The Deathworlder fleet will assess your planet's core environmental challenges. We must understand the extent of the damage before we proceed. Jonas, who had remained quietly observant, interjected, and if you decide the damage is too great? There's always a way to heal, Soren reassured him, his tone resonant, calming. But the commitment must be mutual. The fleet does not merely restore, it transforms. Earth must be ready to transform as well. The following day, a meeting was convened at the United Nations, broadcasted globally. Leaders of every nation were present, physically or via hologram, and the tension was palpable. Elara took the stage, flanked by images of the magnificent, otherworldly ships above. Ladies and gentlemen, representatives of Earth, Elara began, her voice steady, commanding attention. The Deathworlder fleet has offered us a second chance, a chance to undo the harm we've done to our planet. But this is not just an environmental recovery, it's a call to global unity. She continued, outlining the preliminary assessments shared by the fleet: rising sea levels, deforestation, severe biodiversity loss. The room was rife with murmurs, the gravity of the data sinking in. Each country will be involved. The fleet has proposed a series of biodome constructions, atmospheric purifiers, and oceanic regenerators. But these will only be deployed if we, as a global community, agree to enforce strict environmental safeguards. No more deforestation, sustainable energy use only, global emissions cut by half within the next decade. The assembly was divided. Some leaders nodded, ready for change, others balked at the demands. Negotiations ensued, long and arduous. Elara, alongside Soren and his team, mediated, argued, and slowly, painstakingly, built consensus. Meanwhile, public opinion was a storm of hope and skepticism. Protests erupted, both in support of the SOS initiatives and against the perceived surrender of national sovereignty. Elara found herself not just a scientist, but a public figure, a symbol of Earth's last hope. One night, exhausted from negotiations, Elara visited a newly established monitoring station where the first biodome was being constructed by the fleet. The structure was a marvel, a seamless blend of alien technology and Earth's natural landscapes. As she watched, a young engineer approached her. Dr. Miles, I wanted to say, thank you. We're all here, working day and night because we believe in this. We believe in you. Elara smiled, touched by the sincerity. We're in this together. This is humanity's project, our penance, and our redemption. We can't afford to fail. Weeks turned into months. The first biodome was completed, an oasis in what had been a barren desert. The media covered its unveiling extensively, showcasing the lush greenery, the return of bird species, the clear, flowing water. It was proof, undeniable and beautiful, of what could be achieved. Back at the United Nations, a landmark treaty was finally ratified. The Earth Restoration Accord, it was called, and it was groundbreaking. Nations pledged to the required environmental policies, and sanctions were set for non-compliance. The Deathworlder fleet, in turn, began the deployment of more biodomes, atmospheric purifiers, and oceanic regenerators around the globe. Elara watched the signing of the accord, a mix of relief and resolve settling in her bones. She spoke to the assembly once more, her voice echoing through the hall. Today, we stand united, not just as countries, but as custodians of our planet. We've been given extraordinary help, but the task ahead remains ours. Let's prove to the Deathworlder fleet, to the Galactic Concordance, and to ourselves, that Earth can rise from its ashes. As she stepped down, applause filled the room, a sound of unity and commitment. But more than that, it was a sound of change, a profound and resolute step toward a future that, just months ago, seemed an impossibility. The path forward would be fraught with challenges, but for the first time in a long time, humanity was ready to face them together, guided by the promise of a healed Earth and the celestial partnership they had so boldly forged. The weeks following the Earth Restoration Accord were bustling with activity and transformative energy. Global cooperation, once a mere ideal, had become the operational bedrock for Earth's ecological renewal. Dr. Elara Miles, who had once walked the silent halls of the SOS Command Center with the weight of the world on her shoulders, now stood at the forefront of what was rapidly becoming humanity's greatest endeavor. At a newly established Environmental Oversight Board, Elara addressed the gathering of Earth's finest minds, her voice resonant with the gravity of their mission. The biodomes are just the beginning. We must integrate the alien technologies with our own systems, ensuring that every process is synergistic. It's not just about restoration but sustainable evolution. The discussion was technical and intense. Proposals were debated for integrating advanced alien soil regeneration techniques with traditional agricultural practices, and plans were laid for deploying atmospheric purifiers across industrial zones worldwide. The mood was one of cautious optimism, tempered by the scale of the task at hand. As the meeting adjourned, Soren approached Elara, his blue features more animated than usual. "Dr. Miles, there is something you should see. Our deep scanners have discovered anomalies beneath the Earth's crust, possibly significant to your planet's instability. We believe it could be critical to address this for long-term stability." Elara followed him to a mobile monitoring station where images flickered across screens, showing deep-seated fractures and pockets of volatile gases. These could lead to catastrophic geological disturbances if not managed. "With your permission, we would like to assist in stabilizing these faults," Soren explained. Grasping the implications, Elara nodded. "Let's convene a team. If these fractures can be stabilized, it might prevent earthquakes, or worse, volcanic activity. It's an opportunity we can't ignore." The operation to stabilize Earth's geological underpinnings commenced with a blend of human and alien technology. Massive drilling rigs, enhanced with ultrasonic boring capabilities provided by the fleet, were deployed around the globe. The work was perilous, yet vital. Meanwhile, public interest and support for the restoration projects grew. Documentaries aired, detailing the scientific and cooperative efforts involved in the projects. Elara herself became a regular figure in media, her earlier reticence replaced by a fervent advocacy for Earth's recovery. She spoke about the changes, the challenges, and the undeniable progress, her words bringing hope and igniting a sense of pride and purpose across the globe. One evening, as Elara reviewed data from the stabilization project, her assistant approached, a hesitant figure against the backdrop of bustling activity. "Dr. Miles, there's an urgent call for you from the Arctic Restoration Team." Switching on her communicator, Elara was greeted by the face of Dr. Hansen, the lead on the Arctic project. "Elara, we've encountered something extraordinary. While implementing the thermal regulation units, we've uncovered what appears to be an ancient bioarchive, buried deep in the ice." Elara paused, absorbing the news. "An archive? You mean, biological specimens?" "More than that," Dr. Hansen's voice was tinged with excitement. "It's like a seed bank, but for hundreds of species long thought extinct. It seems to be of alien origin, possibly left as a failsafe by the same civilization that built your beacon. The implications were staggering. Not only could this discovery help restore Earth's biodiversity, but it also offered tangible proof of ancient alien intervention on Earth. The news quickly became a focal point for both scientific study and public fascination. As the projects expanded, so did humanity's horizon. The Deathworlder fleet continued to provide support, their ships a common sight in Earth's orbit, now symbols of hope rather than harbingers of unknown intentions. The Galactic Concordance observed with growing approval, their initial reservations giving way to a partnership that was beneficial for all parties involved. Months passed, and the world watched as once barren deserts bloomed with new life, their ecosystems revitalized. Coastal cities, previously threatened by rising sea levels, were safeguarded with innovative barriers that not only held back the waters but purified them. At an international summit, with leaders from around the world, Ilera presented the latest results. We've not only averted several potential disasters but have begun the process of healing our world in ways we couldn't have imagined. This partnership, this project, has taught us the value of unity and the power of shared knowledge. The summit concluded with renewed commitments to the Earth Restoration Accord, extending its reach to include educational initiatives, cultural exchanges, and joint scientific ventures between humans and their alien allies. In the quiet after the summit, Ilera visited one of the thriving biodomes, walking among plants that had once been on the brink of extinction, now flourishing under the care of human and alien botanists. She stopped by a pond, watching the reflection of the sky, a sky no longer filled with the signs of impending doom but with the gentle light of dusk, reflecting the peace that seemed finally within Earth's grasp. We did it, not just for us, but for every generation to come, Ilera mused, her voice a soft echo in the growing dusk. This is our legacy. As night fell, the stars above, once distant and cold, seemed to shine a little brighter, a little warmer, as if reflecting back the light of a world reborn. Months after the groundbreaking discovery in the Arctic, the world's enthusiasm for the global restoration projects had not only held but intensified. Now, with tangible results and ongoing initiatives unfolding daily, humanity's relationship with the Deathworlder fleet transitioned from wary collaborators to partners in a shared vision. Ilera stood at the podium in the newly established Global Ecological Symposium, hosted in Geneva, addressing an audience that included the world's leading environmental scientists, policymakers, and representatives from the Deathworlder fleet. Today, we mark not just progress but a transformation in how we inhabit our planet. The biodome networks, the stabilized geological faults, the flourishing Arctic zone, all these are testaments to what we can achieve together. After her speech, the conference broke into smaller panels and discussions. Ilera joined a panel with Soren and other experts to discuss the next phases of ecological restoration. The next step involves not just maintaining but enhancing these ecosystems. We're looking at introducing genetically restored species from the bioarchive into suitable habitats, Ilera explained. The audience listened, captivated by the potential. Questions flowed, ranging from technical queries about habitat suitability to ethical considerations regarding genetic restoration. Ilera answered with patience, ensuring clarity and openness in her responses. As the symposium continued, Ilera received an urgent message from the monitoring team in the Pacific Biodome. Excusing herself, she quickly made her way to a secure communication room. The chief biologist's face appeared on the screen, his expression a mix of excitement and urgency. "Dr. Miles, we've observed an unexpected development. The coral species we introduced have not only adapted but are exhibiting traits that accelerate the healing of damaged reefs. It's like nothing we've seen." Ilera's eyes widened, understanding the implications. "You're saying these traits, could they be applied to other regions?" "Possibly. We need to study this further, but the initial results are promising. This could significantly speed up oceanic restoration globally." Back at the symposium, news of the discovery spread, adding a layer of fervent anticipation to the proceedings. Discussions sprang up, focusing on how these traits could be harnessed responsibly, without disrupting existing marine ecosystems. The final day of the symposium arrived, and with it, a closing speech from Alara that would be broadcast worldwide. Standing before the assembly and the cameras, she shared the recent findings. What we've learned from the Pacific Biodome opens new doors for us. This symposium has laid the groundwork for a new protocol on advanced ecological restoration. With great power comes great responsibility, and we are committed to proceeding with caution and consensus. The broadcast was met with widespread acclaim. Environmental groups and governments expressed cautious optimism, eager to see how these advancements could be implemented. Social media buzzed with discussions and debates, reflecting a global populace now deeply engaged with the fate of their planet. In the weeks that followed, Alara traveled to various restoration sites, meeting with teams and overseeing the implementation of the new protocols. Each site was a hub of activity, with engineers, biologists, and volunteers from around the world working together. Their efforts were supported by the fleet's technology, which continued to offer solutions that once seemed the stuff of science fiction. One evening, as Alara surveyed a restored wetland in Southeast Asia, she was approached by a group of local schoolchildren who had been involved in the project. Their faces were bright with enthusiasm, and one girl, no more than 10, tugged gently at Alara's sleeve. "Dr. Miles, look at what we've planted," she said, pointing at the lush vegetation. Alara knelt beside the girl, observing the plants. "These are wonderful, truly. You've all done an amazing job. It's our planet too, right? We have to take care of it," the girl replied, her words simple yet profound. "Yes, it is. And yes, we do," Alara responded, her heart swelling with a mix of pride and hope. These children, like so many others worldwide, were growing up with a new normal, a world where taking care of the earth was part of their everyday lives. The success of the global restoration efforts culminated in an annual review meeting held at the United Nations, where Alara presented a comprehensive report detailing the achievements and outlining future steps. The report was met with unanimous support, renewing the global commitment to the restoration efforts. As she stepped out of the UN building, Alara looked up at the sky, now clear and starry. She thought about the journey, from the brink of ecological disaster to a world united in its quest for redemption. The challenges were far from over, but the progress made was undeniable. Walking down the steps, Alara felt a sense of accomplishment and resolve. Humanity had not only averted disaster but had set a new course towards a sustainable future, proving that even in the face of overwhelming odds, with unity and innovation, rebirth was possible. As she reached the car waiting to take her back to her team, she paused, taking a moment to enjoy the cool night air, the city around her bustling with life, a testament to the resilience and enduring spirit of the world she was helping to heal.